Welcome to the Top Corner Podcast. Another episode, another day. Today's co-host is Julian. See how I switched that?
That was perfect. I loved it so much. It kept me guessing. This weather is depressing me. I will say that as well. Like, it's already dark before you even get here. It makes me feel very dreary. I'll need like 3 more of these to really pep up to your step. You were in an exceptionally good mood last episode.
Yeah.
For UCL4, you were vibrant. You were like a shining star. It was pretty impressive to see. I hope that you can match that energy every single episode.
Yeah, I can turn it on and off. That's how
you turned it on for sure. It was impressive.
Yeah. I don't need that. I don't need 3 of these.
It was a very good performance. You just kind of the camera turns on and you become someone else, and it's this beautiful, passionate,
definitely
work of art.
And last weekend we had great entertainment. We had great games. I don't know if any of y'all watched the games, but they were pretty amazing. I will tell you what. Chelsea City was the best game so far in EPL.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that for sure.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was exceptional.
Yeah, I watched a couple of games. What games did you watch?
So I watched Arsenal Burnley in full. I watched Chelsea Man City in full.
Oh.
I got to catch up on a little bit of the West Ham Forest. I watched the highlight packages and kind of sat down and figured out what was going on with it. I redid my power rankings as well. Not a lot of news this week. It's very interesting. There's usually usually when we're putting our shows together, we have to sort of shave down. You know, I'll usually present maybe like 10 bits of news, and then you'll present a similar amount as well, and we sort of have to figure out what stays and what goes. This week, the only thing that we really have is.
Did you see what Victor Osimhen? He said last summer he had a huge offering from the Saudi,
which was that was reported on. He didn't speak about it, but everyone knew that there was a deal. But he did give some information about like it was a very difficult opportunity to turn down. I don't want to say opportunity because an opportunity is something like. It was a financial opportunity. It wasn't a performative opportunity. He wouldn't have been going there to have an opportunity to play a great sport. It would have been a watered down version of what it was already. What he meant was the amount of money was a lot to turn down.
Yes.
And the fact that he was very open about that was interesting. He said that it was, quote, it was like enough money to change his life. Like that. I mean, that's and keep that in consideration for how much these footballers actually get paid initially. So. When you're already being paid enough money, every single person on the field right now in this game they've been paid enough money already that changed their lives.
Yeah.
So for someone that's already been doing that for years to say that's enough, it's enough money to change his life again, that's an exceptional deal. And I'm very proud. I don't know him obviously, but I'm very proud that you're able to turn down life-changing amounts of money because you have a respect for the game. Like you're not ready to hang it up yet. It's very cool. Yeah, but I do like that he was quiet. He seems like he does great with how he handles himself publicly.
Yeah.
Because when it was happening, he didn't say anything about it. He let the reporting happen. But now
he was probably not interested.
Yeah, and he made it clear very respectfully that he's not interested in going to the Saudi League. But the amount of money, he said it. He's like he kept saying no, and they kept increasing the amount to the point where he was surprised that they were doing that.
Yeah.
Like it was like they didn't accept no. They just kept hiking the price. And it's like at a certain point you'll find any human being's number, right? Anyone can be bought. And he said that it was difficult, but that he did it. And so like I like that he was that open about it after the fact as opposed to being very transparent early on. Let the media speak about it, and then when the deal is over you kind of talk about it a little bit more. And I think it's a good example to set for younger football players as well.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not just like if you have the opportunity to play at that high of a level, don't take the money yet, because he knows, we all know, if the Saudi League stays around, they'll want him in 10 years when he's 34.
Yeah.
The offer is still gonna be there, and it'll be more money than he's making at the time too.
Yeah, with inflation adjusted and
everything. he wants to win trophies, and he's proven that he can do that with last season at Napoli, breaking records and winning the title for that city for the first time in 30 years. So imagine what he can do for a Real Madrid if the Mbappe deal falls through, which they're being very candid about now in terms of like He is not our only option.
Yeah.
Which I like that as well.
They're switching now.
And he has also been considered a high-profile target with Ivan Toney to go to Arsenal.
Yeah.
And that's so imagine that. Imagine if
Mbappe at Arsenal?
No, fuck that. Osimhen. No, so Osimhen wins the Scudetto for Napoli for the first time in 30 years, and then he goes to Arsenal and wins a title for them for the first time in 20-something years. That'd be amazing. That alone is a career.
Yeah, but Mbappe at Arsenal kind of sound tight, though.
I mean, like, it makes sense. He probably thinks that he's too good for the club, but he thinks that he's only good enough for two clubs, which is ironic because one of them is nowhere near the other. He's good enough for Real Madrid and PSG, who suck fucking ass. So, like, it's like you only like that because you're from Paris.
Probably for him leaving, I feel like he thinks that leaving PSG for a club like Arsenal, I would just stay in PSG because what would be what was the best outcome for you going to Arsenal? What is Arsenal gonna accomplish? Are they gonna win the Champions League? Are they gonna win the Premier League? Because if they're not,
you get to actually prove yourself as a world-class talent by not smashing 3-0 Montpellier in the French league.
But
you actually get to test your skills.
It gets back to the same thing though, because you will not be a title contender. You will not be a Ballon d'Or contender, because if you don't win anything, being an Arsenal, it don't matter how good you did in the season. People like City or players that play at City or Madrid will be the Ballon d'Or contender. So if I'm him, why would I go to Arsenal? See? Unless we're winning. If you ain't winning, because now that I'm just gonna pick injuries for nothing.
I don't validate that. Like, I understand what you're saying, but the fact is, like, you're saying, like, you saying that justifies him wanting to go to Real Madrid.
Yeah,
it doesn't validate him wanting to just linger at PSG. Whether he wants to accept it or not, right now, Arsenal is an upgrade to PSG. Arsenal is not an upgrade to Real Madrid.
It's an upgrade.
Explain to me why PSG is an upgrade to Arsenal.
No, it's an upgrade in terms of league, right? Like, because you say, oh, Premier League is the best league. But in terms of just team, there's really no point. It's like me leaving Lens. Of course, if I go from Lens to Arsenal, there's more of, you can see, because there's more exposure. I'm playing in a bigger league and eyes are on me. But I'm with the PSG. I'm at PSG, the biggest club in France. I have already the exposure, right? Right? If I'm leaving PSG, going to Arsenal, if they're not winning, there's no point for me going there unless I just want to challenge myself and go to a new league.
I'm the big fish in this little pond. I love this pond because I'm always the best in this pond.
Unless I'm going to City, because at this point in his career, guess what? He's not chasing wanting to play in a great system just to play for it, you know. He's chasing what? Ballon d'Or, you know. And if I'm going to Arsenal,
it makes sense. He's not chasing a good system because he's been at PSG for so fucking long.
Yeah, look at Arsenal. What player in Arsenal next year will be among the top 5 or 10 contenders at the Ballon d'Or, or even the FIFA best player of the year?
You think that he'll win a Ballon d'Or at PSG if he stays?
Not that he will win. It's just, I'm just saying that instead of going to Arsenal, right? Because there's a friend who was saying that he could go there because there's no point in staying at PSG. I'm like, why would he do that if he's not gonna be in contender at this accolades? Why would I do that? I'll just stay, because guess what? Either way, I'm not being a contender nowhere, so I'll just stay where I'm comfortable, get my money.
Well, that's a very modern mentality. I'm not a fan of it, but I never will be.
You get along with the world, man. Unless Arsenal is gonna win something until proving so they.
Well, then so if it's just about being,
it's about titles nowadays.
Or you just said it was about collecting money, so just go ahead and go to Saudi and fuck off, and we'll all forget about you. Soon.
It's okay. That's a little different. So if I'm Victor Osimhen, right, I want to go to Arsenal. It's better for me. You can see it better, but not Mbappe, not someone Mbappe. Mbappe already won the World Cup. What Arsenal has a World Cup? Mbappe is actually, in terms of just being a player, most of them don't grace his. Sorry, you Arsenal guy, but they don't grace.
No,
because this is the system.
Right, and look, I mean, we do pretend that PSG has this legacy that they don't actually have.
Of course, I'm with you on that.
And I don't respect that at all. And so, like, thinking that any club but Real Madrid is a step down from PSG is ludicrous to me.
No, I think there's other clubs that step up. Like if he went to like even in Premier League, if he went to City, I'm not saying that unless Arsenal has a plan to win. Now going there, I can see because
I
think
every team has a plan to win. It's just that the plan doesn't work. Every team has a plan to win.
Tell that to Tottenham
every week.
Tell that to Tottenham.
Yeah, it does.
You know, Mourinho said, was it Mourinho? I think it's Mourinho. No, it's what's it? Oh, I forgot. Is it Mancini? He said Tottenham don't want to win.
There are a few out there.
Now I can see if they have a plan to win, signing Mbappe for them will be. That attack would be something else because you have Saka on the right, you have Mbappe, and Mbappe can play Trossard, he can play Trossard's place, and he can play the left wing. But if you drop Mbappe on the left and still have Trossard, it doesn't even matter if Trossard misses or not. Mbappe is still gonna score because he's a well-rounded player.
I guess also Manchester United want to make a bid for Mbappe as well.
He shouldn't go there.
Well, no, obviously not.
Because that's hell.
That is hell on earth. Yeah.
That's hell.
And I'm sure that Chelsea will try to make something happen as well. But because they.
I don't know. I feel it depends. Well, let's even go ahead and
nightmare.
Well, let's go and talk about Chelsea versus City.
Yeah.
Whoever watched that game, it was an amazing game.
Yeah, that was
one
of
the best game. If not the best game so far this season.
I think it was the best game so far, especially in the Premier League this season.
Yeah. So. I like how Chelsea came in. They came in gone blazing everywhere.
Extremely hard pressed.
Yeah,
a lot of energy.
It's weird because they kept the same energy till the end.
Yeah,
till the end, because sometimes you would do it and the second half, like the player just get tired or something.
Yeah.
But they kept the same energy. It's weird because for the first time I saw, well, not even the first time, but City wasn't in control of the ball, neither of the game per se.
Right.
And I think the possession, we'll probably have to check.
Yeah,
Chelsea the game.
Go ahead and check that. Chelsea was really, for the first 25 minutes, and you're right, they kept a very strong press the entire game, but that first 20 minutes or so, City could not open any passing lanes. They figured it out by the end, but in that very beginning, they could not get any build up. And in that window of 35 to 45 minutes, there was this massive string on both sides of counterattacks. It was box to box, interception, quick counter, quick, and it was me and my fiance were watching it, and I was like, this is like ping pong.
Yeah,
it felt for 10 minutes straight. It was like an actual game of table tennis.
You know what is crazy? If you ever watch EPL, Premier League, before the system style playing or positional playing or whatever you want to call it, you will understand this was kind of real EPL play. That's how it used to be.
Fast paced, rugged.
Back in the day. Fast paced from another half to the other side. It was just back and forth. So I felt for the first, I was like, yeah, this is EPL at his purest form. But yeah, the game was amazing.
They took all the elegance away from City, and City this season have not been as elegant as they have been in previous seasons anyway. So this became a very rough and tumble game, and we really enjoyed that. And it was really interesting because she's used to seeing a very my fiance, by the way, she's very used to seing a very fluid Manchester City, and so even this season when she's watched other games when they still won convincingly or so, she's like, it's a very strange looking team. And then here it was even more rugged and all over the place. And there's something so dangerous about Chelsea because they seem like they have nothing to lose. They are figuring it out tactically. They are getting something together. And they're at a point in the season now where it's like they can't afford to sit back and take it easy. They have to make up ground. So, and it seems like they're playing recklessly, but it seems like they have a bit more charisma on their side and a bit more confidence. It's working recently.
I'll tell you what, Chelsea told City, you guys are not gonna come here and stand for bridge and mold me, take me like your little, the word.
Good, say it.
And unfortunately for me, I don't curse, but they said I'm not gonna just sit down and take the abuse. I'm gonna report. So that's what they did. And another thing is what Chelsea has figured it out. They just need to figure out the next part. And this is what I'm gonna say this. If you play high line or just you keep the game free, right? it's easy for Chelsea how they've been playing, and it looks like they have been figuring it out. They've been getting form lately, right?
Yeah.
You will be surprised because they might kill you. Because now their real problems is getting out of the low block. When teams play low block against them, that's their problem. And if they figure that part out, it will be very dangerous and scary Chelsea.
Yeah.
And Pep Guardiola said this. He said Chelsea was dangerous and dangerous than Liverpool, even dangerous than Arsenal will beat them. And I can see why. Because immediately after who scored first? Was it Haaland?
Well, it was Haaland.
Yeah, Haaland. Yeah. When Haaland scored, I was so surprised at the response. It was immediate. It was quick. It was fast. Thiago Silva, 39-year-old man, doing it again at that level in the Premier League, right? Unfortunately, he kind of had that third goal or fourth goal in, but
I don't consider that an own goal.
But it was, he had a great game. Everybody.
But a jumping header from someone at his height, it's just like, who was covering this man?
Yeah, nobody.
Someone had to have not covered it, because him jumping and Rodri standing completely still. I think Rodri still gets his head to it, and he slipped right in. That's part of being so short at times. He's not unbelievably short, but he's short for a defender.
Yeah. I can get behind that.
Do you think that Guardiola's kind of kicking himself because the two players that played the best for Chelsea on that day were recently let go by City? It's very frustrating. You have to sit there and go, well, why didn't you hit those for me, Sterling? Because you really didn't.
I don't know. It's weird because even that day, and I am pissed about this because the man of the match went to Haaland. To be honest, I watched the game. Sterling was the man of the match. I'm telling 100%. You, the way he treated Walker, you would think Walker was in a world class left back. Right back. And he's had a great season too. It's not that it's like he's down on form or his pace is going because of his age. No, like he's been working harder this season than he ever has before. Because Sterling and Cole Palmer, they had such great chemistry. I'm telling you.
And City still should, like, when they let Palmer go to Chelsea this summer, I didn't agree with it at all. And I have nothing to gain from either team doing well. So but you see the progress that Cole Palmer was making at the time, and to see him go to a very shapeless Chelsea, I was like, that's not a good move. But also, it's not a good move for City. Like I felt bad for the player making the decision, but I was also like looking at Pep and going like, why'd you let him go? Like he wasn't playing as well then as he is now, but you knew that a player like that was in there, and when the season gets longer and Silva needs a rest, and like there was still room for Palmer in the squad.
There was still,
at City 100%.
Yeah. Another thing is
very strange.
Why would you? Rodri had a bad game, one of his worst game. I mean, he kind of scored, but the game, he wasn't in the game. He was nowhere to be found in the middle, and that had affected them very much.
And that's the thing. Yeah, and you're right. He had a bad game by his standards.
Yeah,
he didn't have a horrendous game objectively as a Premier League midfielder. But that's the issue when you play at such a high level consistently. When you don't have that amazing performance, it makes you look even worse.
What about Gallagher? Gallagher is amazing, man.
He is a player that he had a tendency, I guess, to be reckless, to be a bit confused and overwhelmed in the midfield, unable to find more clever, fluid forward passes. The past couple of weeks he's been playing very well. Yeah. But early on he looked kind of like a liability.
That's why I think they're figuring out, and they're getting sort of, I don't want to say back, but because they were never there, but they're getting in form. And with that issue, when they get in form, it makes it very difficult now for other teams, because now that they're figuring out how to get in transition, they figure out how to be fast on the fast break, they figure out how to be more lethal, it becomes a little difficult for other teams now. And one thing I'll say, they have to also, the defense wasn't that great. The reason why they conceded that much goal, although they were playing that great, it's also because although they commit so high, but the defense is the problem. If you watch at least the three or four goals, or 2, 3, or most of those goals went through Cucurella's flank.
Yep.
So
and even still, he had a handful of really good aggressive tackles.
But he just commits so forward, and when he does that, now the coach has to figure out who is going to close that.
Yep.
That's the thing. It's not
While he's
about
doing
him.
this,
It's because
who's covering his space as well.
Yeah, because he's well, the modern left back or whatnot. So he's always gonna be forward at some point or just going middle or whatnot.
Yep.
But you have to figure out who's gonna close out that. And I watched the game. I was so surprised. Sterling, Palmer, Gallagher, all of them, they stood out. Haaland played. He had a really good game too. And man, Sanchez saved a lot.
Yeah.
Doku hit it from anywhere. Sanchez still got it.
Yeah. Well, and so there's a thing. I really don't like when someone says like, "Oh, that player's shit," or it's like, first off, like there are no shit players in the number 1 league in the world.
Yeah.
Or even the 15th league in the world. Like, come on, like that's ridiculous. Like, just because they're not one of the very best in the world, they're still world-class athletes. Like, you're a fool if you think otherwise.
Yeah.
So Sanchez is a good keeper in a global perspective, but he has not been playing at the caliber expected of a top team in the top league. But he is, like yesterday, he had a very good game, which was not consistent with his recent performances. You are allowed to say that someone hasn't performed to a certain standard, but calling them a bad player is just showing kind of your lack of knowledge in the game. There aren't even shit players in the MLS technically in a global perspective. You know what I mean? It's still one of the top. It's still one of the top 20 leagues in the world. The MLS.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, are they on the same level as the Premier League? No, they never will be. And that's fine. But when you start saying like, "Oh, what a shit defender," it's like, no, these guys are still amazing athletes. They're still very good at this job.
Yeah, but
you don't realize how
sometimes
bad they
this
are
defender, sometimes you find a defender he's really not that good, and he shouldn't be probably playing at that level.
Right,
it's
and then they go.
Like Alaba right now. I don't think Alaba is at the, and this is not to take away Alaba's accomplishment in the game, because this has been an amazing athlete, amazing player.
Well, he's playing
and I've watched him play in national team, watch him play in Bayern, and this was one of my best defender at the time when he was playing with Kevin. No, not Kevin Prince Boateng, the other border. At the Bayern Munich, when they were locking down that defense in 2012, 2011, but this is not the Alaba,
right?
And I don't think he should be playing at that level,
right? Well, and just on that, because I do want to drive it home, because I really hate when people say it. Like, good example, he's not at. How can someone be considered a shit player because they're not good enough for the second best league in the entire world?
Yeah, if they don't perform at that level, maybe.
No, but no. Well, yeah, no. So you can not be good enough to play in La Liga, and still not be a shit defender. Yeah, you could go down to Eredivisie and be fucking fantastic.
So I think you have the problem with the fact that people are saying
they're calling them bad.
Yeah,
and they're not bad. They're just not at.
I call a defender bad. I would call a player bad if he.
Well, and you can
have but the difference.
Listen to me, because you can have a bad game. You're like,
of course, no. That's different though.
Right.
Like how will I say? Like Guardiola is not a bad defender. He had a bad game.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And not just him. If you look at the game or you watch that game, City it was lazy marking. They were not marking any Chelsea player. And that's why Chelsea was so dangerous. And every time Chelsea was ahead, forward or in their third, there was a possibility of being of a goal. There were chances created. And like I said, this is probably the best Chelsea ever. And same thing when City was in their third too.
Yeah.
So
here's a good example, and then we'll move on, because I really want to make this point. If an NFL player runs a 4.2 40-yard dash, that's very fast. If a guy runs a 4.4 40-yard dash, that's still unbelievably fast.
Yeah.
That is like, are you running a 4.1? No, you're not. But does that take away from how fast you are in the grand scheme of the game? No, you are still unbelievably fast. So like, just because you're not good enough for the Premier League, but you're still playing in La Liga, you're not a bad player.
So
you're
I guess
a world-class athlete.
I guess your point is, because you're an athlete, it doesn't mean you're necessarily bad because for me, a player is bad as soon as you can have a bad game. I'll get them, but if you're doing that on consistent level, you got to get out. You're bad.
Right. If someone plays poorly in the Premier League but then goes to La Liga and plays well, that's still the second best league in the world. Like, you're still a great player. You're just not good enough for the number one league. That's like saying that if you're an NFL football player and you didn't win the Super Bowl, you're a bad player. It's like no, well, you're just the very best. You're not in the very best, but like you're still an unbelievable.
I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from.
It's just people going like, oh, he's shit. It's like, dude, no, he's playing in
Serie A.
So
what would you want people to say? Oh, he didn't have a good game.
He's not good. Yeah, he didn't have a good
he's
game,
not good enough,
or he's not good enough for this league. You were allowed to say that. You were allowed to say that a defender is not good enough for Manchester City. He's just not good enough. But he might be good enough for another Premier League team.
Yeah, getting on that PC, man. Political correctness.
No, it's very dismissive.
I see.
If the average,
you don't like that language for an athlete, I guess.
If the average person that like if the fry cook down the street is saying that someone's a shit defender, like, well, what if I say that you're a shit fry cook just because you're not the best fry cook in the world? Like,
there can definitely be those. But
he had a bad day.
Well, guess what? Like, if you a lot of people who don't know how to fry chicken. A lot of people don't know how to cook chicken. Just because you can cook chicken doesn't mean that you know how to cook chicken. Yeah. And just because you can cook chicken doesn't mean that you're not a shitty cook. You're making me cuss.
I get it. I get it.
Chicken cook. Right?
I get you. Yeah,
that's the difference. It's like it don't matter if there were 50 chicken fryers here. You still a bad one. You don't know how to do that.
Okay, so it's like me going to someone's house and their mom made fried chicken, and it's not the best fried chicken I've ever had in my life. And I said, that was some shitty chicken.
Yeah, it is.
That doesn't get over well. Oh, so if it's not the best in the world, it's shit?
There's no such thing.
That mom would slap the shit out of me.
No, but like guess what? They could be good, average to good, or average to best, right?
Yeah.
But that's why you have skills, right? And that's why the word bad exists. Because if you're bad, you're bad. Yeah, it don't matter.
But an 8 out of 10 chicken is not bad.
No, that's just an average, you know. But
8 out of 10 is not average. 8 out
of
10 is not like 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10.
No. I mean like from 5 to like 10. This is average to best, right? Yeah, if you fall in that category, we might say, oh, your chicken was good. Or if you ask me, it was alright, you know.
Yeah.
But if you want, you gotta stop frying chicken.
Of course.
You gotta stop cooking chicken. In fact, you gotta stop being near any chicken.
Yeah, just get out.
Yeah.
And luckily, there's no 1 out of 10 football players that ever actually make it to the Premier League. But there are tons of Premier League players that stay for 1 or 2 seasons and immediately get sold to a lower level. Team
I see where you're coming from. And no, but this game was great. And I'll tell you what. Haaland should have never been man of the match. I don't care who votes these things. And I just saw Sterling playing one of the best games since 2000 and whatnot when Sterling was at that level.
That might have been one of his best games he's ever had.
I don't know about ever.
He was
he had some great games at City.
But that was when they were also playing their absolute best and allowed him to be his absolute best. This Chelsea side does not have that momentum, and he was dragging them.
Yeah. He hold them. He hold all those players. I'm telling you, he had Walker by the balls. He gave them the business, and he was standing on business.
Yeah, Walker and Vardiol both had very shaky games, and that really allowed for a lot of chances that I think wouldn't have been there had that Man City defense been a little bit stronger than it was that day.
They just got to figure it out. I was kind of mad at Malo Gusto. He missed something. It was so easy. He was like, take your time, finesse it in, or put on the first I don't know, like he had an opportunity and he just missed the chance. I was so mad at him. But overall it was a great game.
Yeah, especially for the fact that
people got mad at Kovacic because I think when Palmer scored, he kind of did something like he was kind of happy, he kind of celebrated. Yeah. It's going online and people are getting mad at him.
You can be happy about it. Did you see where
if he's a rival, you can be happy about it. This is kind of like war,
Yeah. Did you see where Palmer walked into the Manchester City huddle for a free kick?
Was that Palmer?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Haaland just pushed him away.
Well, what's funny is that Ruben Diaz looked at him like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then Jack Grealish is like, trying to finger point, and then Haaland just kind of laughs and pushes him away. But it's like I've seen that happen in basketball. I've seen it happen in football as well. What's going on in here, guys? Nice, sounds good. Well, let's go with that.
LeBron James has something like that happen, like where he
who did that? Oh, we'll get back to that.
Real Madrid and Valencia. That was also an exciting game. Exciting for the fact that Real Madrid had one of the best games since they started the season. I'm talking in terms of fluidity. I'm talking in terms of being dominant. And I'm talking in terms of being fierce. I'm talking in terms of being Madrid, Casablanca, Merengue, Los Blancos. This is our house.
Especially with no Courtois or Kepa, and no Rudiger as well, with a yellow card suspension. Very strange. You would think that they would be a little bit more vulnerable at the back with and the one goal that was conceded was from Nacho. So that it makes sense. But Vinny and Rodrigo looked really good, man.
But the question is, does Real Madrid look better without Bellingham? That's the question. Well, this question arise, or what's the past tense of arise?
Arose.
Is that the thing? How? Dang. But this question kept coming up around every football pundit and even football communities and people that just watch the game, and even someone asked me, can we ask this question just seeing one game without Bellingham and Madrid performing at that level? Is that a question that's valid? And if it's valid, does Real Madrid play better without Bellingham, and why?
I think that the goals speak for themselves, personally. I mean, the objective, you win this sport by scoring goals. And he is proving to be very good at that. I think that they might have moved a bit more fluidly, but also their formation was a little bit different as well. They had a very holding formation. Well, it was a 4-4-2, so you didn't have anybody in that middle between the two forwards that was either going to dictate which one of the center forwards the ball was going to, or if he's taking it for himself. Camavinga's not rushing up for that play. Cruz is not rushing up for that play. It was all strictly about feeding Vinny and Rodrigo, who played very well. They don't usually play that well either. That's the thing. Because Bellingham would still feed them the ball, it doesn't mean that they put it in the back of the net. But for some reason, this time, they were fed the same passes, same level of quality.
Look at this, though. Camavinga is playing a little higher.
But I do think that's a good decision. Actually.
But he is also playing as a DM, as a center midfielder at the same time. And if you watch the game, he was he covered the whole area. And it was so fluid, and it was... He won how many? I think he won 2. I forgot how many duels he won. But with that being said, it looks like it was better. It was better in terms of how they played. And how Camavinga played. So
I still think that even if Bellingham comes back, he needs to be playing that. Are you looking at the formation right now?
No, I'm looking at the Camavinga stats. But,
okay. No, imagine this developing in the future, because I understand what you're saying, and I don't think that it means that Bellingham needs to not play.
I too.
I think that maybe moving him from that central mid, that attacking mid position. What if in this 4-4-2, he just plays next to Camavinga? And they both kind of have that fluid, because they bought him not to play as far forward as he has been. They bought him to move advancing forward, but also control the middle of the park.
So the thing will be either they will play, or either Cruz and Bellingham will play to complement each other, and Camavinga will drop a little deeper, because I feel like he played better as a center midfielder than Chouameni. That is just center midfielder. Because looking at this game, and they will complement each other. But I think that when he's in the game, when Bellingham is in the game, it cuts opportunity for Madrid to be expressive in terms that they rely a little bit too much on him. But I don't know if relying on him came about because they couldn't score goals, or because the system didn't allow for flexibility.
I think it became that at a certain point, but I think that a lot of the goals early on were happening because Rodrigo and Vinny weren't producing them.
Yeah.
And Bellingham was just not giving up on a play and kept going forward, even if it looked like a play was either about to collapse or turn over the ball and possibly be out of position. But like most of his early goals, if you look at it, most players would have quit before that chance developed. It's just that he stuck with it and said, you know what? I'm just going to keep moving a little bit forward, hope for a deflection, hope for a little knock somewhere, and it ended up going in his favor. Once you start building around that, then I do think that Vinny and Rodrigo don't get enough time to really attempt things. But until today, they weren't as as consistent until this game. So it's a lot of early premature.
That's why I was thinking. I was like, this might just be, not saying that they might not produce at that level anymore, but it might just be a premature assumption. Because there's another thing we have to understand is that Bellingham, the reason why the coach was also paying him that high is because the ability for strikers and wingers to score was not that. So he had to play someone that at least put the ball in the net, and that was who? Bellingham. And
I mean, like you're looking at Rodrigo.
If you look at Camavinga heat map, that's insane. Did you see that?
I'm saying so. I would say you still start Bellingham. Because he's guaranteed to produce more. You can't bank on Rodrigo doing this once every 13 appearances.
But what if he becomes consistent?
Then we start reworking it. But what I'm saying, as of now, he's only done that once in 13 appearances. So whereas Bellingham is, how many goals does he have per appearances now? It's wild. But I mean, don't rule it out. If things happen like that naturally, obviously go with the flow. But statistically, this season has just proven that Rodrigo is not that reliable enough to end up benching him for them.
I feel like just reshuffling. Also, Brahim Diaz was also good for them because in transition, he proved to be more. He had more chemistry with Vinny Junior. That's why it was so effortless, and the game was so fluid. And Kroos is still the best midfielder in terms of ball transition from the midfield or defense to the attack. So it's crazy. How do you balance having Valverde, Modric, Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Toni Kroos? All these players.
You don't
in the midfield.
I mean, because in the next 2 years or so, they're not going to have to worry about Modric and Kroos.
But you will still have Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Valverde. I think there's still Ceballos or something like that.
Ceballos is still in there somewhere.
Ceballos. And you still want a midfielder? What's wrong with you? Because what you create I know you want to create competition, but there's just some careers will be burned.
Well, and they've said several times, I think in the last year and a half or so, that they are willing to accept offers for Tchouaméni. Like they're not wanting to get rid of him, but they are like, he's kind of sought quietly on the market. They're like we're willing to hear your offers. Like we're not going to put a big for sale sign on him, but if you want to make an offer. So I mean, they're not opposed to this.
They renewed. What did they just renewed? Was it Rodrigo's contract? And I was like,
Vinny
and Vinny as well.
The Rodrigo one was surprising for sure.
So I guess Madrid is it's gonna surprise us. I mean, I think this was they just gotta keep it up. The formation was different. Everything was just different. So there shouldn't be a quick assumption yet. Man, I'll tell you, Carvajal's goal. Ooh la la. That thing was
what a random goal that was.
That first touch to the volley, he was. I wonder how nobody was track him down. And
the ball took 2 high bounces and he just gets to run with it. He didn't touch it, and the defenders just let it happen. Like the first thing I'm doing is getting in front of him,
but pushing him or something.
Two very strong bounces, and then he takes that third one on the come down,
and you let him just target the angle and the ball coming down. Perfect volley. Perfect volley.
You didn't even have to make a tackle on him.
No,
you just had to get in front of him, and he wasn't even moving at a high pace. He was moving at the pace that the ball was bouncing, which was pretty slow.
Oh my goodness.
It's interesting.
Well,
very strange.
Arsenal had they had a blast. It was a great game for Zinchenko. My guy Zinchenko.
Dude, the Karate Kid.
Master Sensei.
Yeah. That was impressive.
He had a great game.
I've got an interesting stat really fast.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not going to make a big deal out of it because there's already enough banter around it. But
what is it? Tell us.
Just the Arsenal midfield touches and passes numbers. So Rice had 45 touches with 37 passes completed. Jorginho had 57 touches with 48 passes completed.
Bye.
And Kai Havertz had 31 touches with 22 passes completed.
Mamma mia.
So he is consistently producing almost half the other midfield, like whatever the midfield produces on an individual basis, he is producing just above half and pretty much has been all season. Now he's had better games lately. He has been more forward-minded. He has been making more creative passes and not just looking for horizontal ways to dump the ball off to shield himself from responsibility. But they're obviously having to make up for his lack of productivity in the midfield. That is kind of just that is an objective fact.
Yeah.
Despite him playing better.
Is it? Is it an objective fact?
That he is well, it's an objective fact that he is playing better than he was.
Yeah.
And it is also an objective fact that he is producing
more,
much less than the other midfielders around him, despite him playing better.
Yeah.
So make of that what you will. I don't know. So they kind of had a different strategy in this game. It was very interesting. Martinelli was doing a lot of the heavy lifting down the wing, getting the ball down to just outside the box, and he would then drop it back off for Zinchenko, who is probably 5 or 6 yards outside the box, and he just rifles in, crosses into the center forward area.
Yeah.
And that seemed to work very well. A lot of good chances were created in that mode. A lot of goals were created in that mode.
Yeah.
That's where I think that Zinchenko is really... that keeps Zinchenko from being exposed, because he's not making overly forward runs and attempting to thread passes through and putting himself out of position. He's still playing more forward than a left back would, but he's basically splitting the difference. He's not hanging back too far, but he's in the position to make good crosses in while allowing Martinelli to be the one that's moving forward the most. It seems to be working in a safer way, but allowing Zinchenko to be part of the offensive buildup.
Well, my thing is... really, my real problem with these games, the referees. So I don't think Fabio Vieira red card was a red card. I think at best it's a yellow card. The leg is not extended. It's not high up. He's going for the ball. It's low down. So when usually it's low down, you at least a yellow card. And the
he didn't follow through. He didn't stomp.
Yeah, he didn't.
It dragged across the shin.
And the inconsistency in refereeing these games are just so apparent and so blatantly. And you get this though. A lot of people were, because most of these decisions are in favor of Newcastle and City.
Yeah.
And some people were like, oh, that's the oil money.
It's not even so much a debate of like whether these are fouls or not. It's the fact that all these, like,
because look at
if there are 10 fouls, certain red cards should be yellows, certain yellows should be reds, and it's like we're all agreeing that they're fouls, but like there's no consistency in terms of the level of foul that it is. So it makes it very difficult to read.
Also, like you watch Newcastle, people were like Arsenal. People were like, that was a foul. Was it on Anthony?
Yeah.
Or Gordon?
No, so the one that for the Gordon goal.
Yeah.
Joe Linton pushed Gabriel that was in the back with two hands in the back of his neck. Yeah.
That wasn't a foul. That's what people said, right?
And I thought that was absolutely insane. Because
now
they'd also say like, why didn't Gabriel jump? Because Joe Linton's hands were in the back of his fucking neck.
No,
that's
why. When City played, Haaland, was it Haaland and Cucurella? That was a foul, and that was a penalty. Yeah. So if you start picking up all these things that were foul or not supposed to be foul, or fouls that are supposed to be foul, you realize that there's so much inconsistency.
Right. Exactly.
These referees need to sit down in the room and decide how or what level or what has to happen for a foul to be valid.
And they should broadcast this. Could you imagine a room of like 80 referees with like one guy has a gavel?
Because this game a ref gives someone pushing a penalty and the next game a ref doesn't give that, that puts in question the credibility of the organization.
Yeah.
And like I said, a lot of people were saying that this foul I always in favor of City and Newcastle. There's the oil money talking. So we don't know. But back to it. Arsenal had the game. I mean, it's Burnley. They're supposed to win.
Yes.
There's no. But I guess the way they played, I was so surprised. Saka I thought he would have done more since this is Burnley. But Tosa had an amazing game. He was excellent.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Great corners. Oh my god.
Tosa, he definitely killed it. Weah still, he's still the man choosing to keep the goal safe. So I don't know what you guys gonna do about it, but he's the guy in charge.
He had one or two good-looking saves.
Yeah.
The rest are pretty by the book.
Yeah.
Tomiyasu kind of falls in his coverage for that led to the Burnley goal.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't great, but the bigger issue I thought was the lack of communication with the center backs. It wasn't so much that Tomiyasu falls, but really the one that was really scary to me was you saw where Jorginho got his head cut.
Yeah.
You see that?
No, I didn't see that.
So it was really, really late in the game. It was on a corner, and Jorginho goes to head the ball out, and Jakub Kiwior goes to kick the ball out, and he just shaves the top of his head with it.
I remember people saying, why wasn't that a red card?
No, well, it was his own teammate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they both kind of went for it, and the issue wasn't even really one. Kiwior had been on for like 4 minutes, and then kicks his own player in the head. That wasn't that bad. What ended up happening was Kiwior's clearance was lackluster, and then Saliba and Tomiyasu, like it bobbles.
Yeah.
It doesn't go out of the box. It kind of just goes up in the air because he kind of whiffs the shot, and then Tomiyasu and Saliba are kind of like, what the fuck do I do with this? Like the ball gets to take a bounce in the 6-yard box before they get to clear it. That was a bit scary because like it's one thing to kick your own player in the head, fine, but the ball did get to linger for about 2 seconds untouched right outside goal, and it's like you cannot do that against other sides in Europe or with bigger sides in England. Like there was definitely miscommunication with that back line in terms of who was going to clear that ball out in that mistake.
Yeah. Well, on the other side, West Ham, Nottingham Forest.
Not much to say about it, really.
Not much to say, yeah. I what did I say about West Ham? They're gonna be somewhere around the 6th.
James Ward-Prowse had 91 touches and 70 completed passes.
Good grief.
What is that? That's insanity.
Yeah,
that's insanity.
They just let him play.
He is unbelievable, and Lucas Paqueta is they'll both probably not stay around too long. But you start looking at the
but do you think, coming on Paqueta, do you think he will be a perfect replacement for Gundogan at City?
No. I don't think
the way he plays kind of like Gundogan.
Yeah.
Gundogan?
So he does play similar.
Yeah.
But no, like people trying to replace Gundogan, like it was a very particular thing that he did.
Yeah.
And he was exceptionally good at that. Like you can still do the same things that he did and not be as good as him. I think that he was one of the best in the world at what he did.
Okay.
Do I think that he's a good replacement for Gundogan? Yes. Do I think that it's a 1-for-1 or this is exactly who should be taking over? No, because no one can really replace that spot. And it's been proven they've had to rearrange their entire play style without guys like him and Kevin De Bruyne. I think that he would be a good acquisition for City. Yeah. I think that he would do exactly what they need him to do. And I do think that even with a higher ranked English team like West Ham, like he's still clearly one of the best 2 players in that squad, without a doubt. So he is good enough to be in that squad. I don't think that he's as good as Gundogan, and even if he's asked to do those things, he won't do it as well.
He could develop, though.
He could. He's not that young, though. He's like 26, 27. Like he's there. He's there.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, he can still get better, but at this point, if you're buying a 27-year-old or a 26-year-old, like you are buying them based on what they're doing now.
Oh, yeah.
Not what you can. I mean, like there's still room for him to grow, but that's not why you buy someone that's at that age, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about the game, but
no.
They freaking did what I expected them to do.
Right,
but
I think Anthony Elanga looked okay though for Nottingham Forest. He looked okay.
Yeah, Elanga was good. He's Swiss. You know what? You know his origins? Cameroonian.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
because and then he was born in Sweden though, wasn't he?
I think he was
very
born
strange.
in Sweden. Yeah,
interesting how that works out. But yeah, and I don't think that he was given enough time at Manchester United to do much of anything.
Blossom, yeah.
He was like because he's like what 22, 23 right now. They let him go kind of early. I could see him in the next 2 years or so getting a good little promotion somewhere.
Well, it depends if he keeps that level of consistency
right.
or he's still up there. But yeah, in terms of the game itself, West Ham look dangerous, and Burnley just have to fix certain things. But man, at this stage, it's still difficult.
Yeah,
because this was the match week 12.
Yep. Yeah.
So
we're starting to see where things are going to end up being for sure. Yeah.
I don't. It probably David Moyes. He has to figure out. I think he has to figure because he has an abundance of. He has GW with James Ward-Prowse.
Yep.
And I think he has so many midfielders where he has to figure out which one should play and which one shouldn't play because it kind of messes up with their dynamic. But yeah, that was the game that I kind of followed.
Yep. Beautiful stuff, man. Well,
do you have any?
Yeah, we'll do our power rankings real quick. All right. I got my 10 here. Let's go through them. Ready? Number 1, Bayern.
Okay.
Number 2, Real Madrid. Number 3, City. Number 4, Inter Milan. Number 5, Liverpool. Number 6, Arsenal. Number 7, Bayer Leverkusen. Number 8, Tottenham. Number 9, Barcelona. Number 10, Girona.
Oh, that sounds great.
You're like, that sounds great. I'll take that. That's my list too.
Number 1, Bayern. Did you have number 1 as Bayern?
Yeah.
Dang. Number 1, Bayern. Number 2, golly. I want to go for PSG.
Whatever.
But I will put Madrid at number 2 actually. Madrid 2, Leverkusen 3.
Wow.
PSG, City 4, PSG 5th. But actually they could be interchangeable because PSG it's based overall and also weak performance. You cannot be City and drawing 4. And
I think that you do this just to make it difficult for me to edit. I think that's exactly why you do this. You're like, you're just moving shit around everywhere. It's very funny.
I want to say Stuttgart now.
They just lost recently.
Yeah, that's the thing too.
If they beat Dortmund, that'd have been different.
Yeah. Leverkusen probably 7.
Yeah.
Atletico Madrid 8. Barcelona. Actually, Barcelona should be 7. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And Liverpool. But that's kind of like the top 10. that's my top 10.
There you go. I'll have to edit that together and figure out what order that is. Beautiful.
That's my top 10. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right,
guys. This was it. We don't have anything more to say.
No news, man. I imagine when we get closer to January, we'll have a lot more news to discuss. But right now, everything's kind of locked in its way.
Yeah, I think it was great. There's always we can just always these questions where we can ask and try to respond. And you talking about you don't like when people say athlete S, but whatnot.
Yeah. And Reece James to Manchester City confirmed. I'm kidding. No, not yet. That will probably happen though.
Reece James to City?
Yeah, I think that'll probably happen.
Let's see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But one thing I want Madrid to get a good left back.
Davies.
Then that will probably Reece James.
Yeah, he usually plays right. He's right-footed. But Madrid need both.
Alaba.
He doesn't have the pace anymore.
No, not Alaba. Yeah. I always forget the guy from Canada. Bayern. He plays at Bayern.
Alphonso Davies.
Alphonso Davies.
You just said his name.
Yeah, I was like, how did I forget?
That's crazy.
I'm so bad with names. Yeah, but if they get Alphonso Davies. But could you imagine Madrid running with Alphonso Davies?
And Vinny Jr. on the same side.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
You will have to have a hell of a cardio.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're going to have to be like Walker 2.0 or something.
You have to accept the fact that when you're playing them, your entire right side of the field will be subbed off at some point. You're going to need fresh legs.
Ooh, that would be so dangerous. Yeah. I feel like it might be the scenario of Marcelo and Ronaldo, where Ronaldo was more of the
speedster kind of a deal.
But he would go in and kind of not even come back anymore, and Marcelo would take that whole flank by himself just because he was that pacey and saucy. But yeah. Well, guys, go subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify. like, comment, and turn on your notification bell and all the
Yeah,
good
turn
stuff.
that bell on. That bell
Yeah.
apparently matters a lot more than you think.
We'll put all our links to the description, and you can go follow our TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, and everything. On that, I will leave you on this: to make every day count.
Make every day count.
Bye.